Well, what are you afraid of today? Proverbs chapter 16, verse 7. When a man's ways please the chief, he make even his enemies to be at peace with him. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 8. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. Without right. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. A man's heart plan think up his way, but the chief direct his steps. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 13 through 14. Righteous lips are the delight of kings, and they love him that speak right. The wrath of a king is as messengers of death, but a wise man or woman will try to calm it. Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of the Most Highest One True God, Jehovah. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18 through 19. Pride go before destruction, and then haughty when one thinks that they are higher than someone else, to not want to show another proper decent respect. The proud spirit before a fall. Better it is to be of an humble spirit with the lowly, with the lowly, with the ones whom are not as important as you, with the ones whom are not as important as you, with the ones that you will see that it is not all about you. Better it is to be humble with others than to divide the spoil with the proud, with whosoever that will always seems to think about their own self and no one else. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16 through 19. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 20 through 24. And Proverbs chapter 16, verse 25 through 27 is also saying something. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 28. A forward man or woman, the conflicting one, the opposite one that does not want to humble theirself, to just listen to you calmly, as how they would want for someone to just listen to them, then as well. The one that is seeming to be more likely to only cause another clash, to be violent, or would keep theirself to be at disagreement, plants conflict, and they whisper separate. Most important are very close friends. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 29 through 30. A violent man or woman trap his or her neighbor and lead him or her into the way that is not good. He or her shut his or her eyes to plan, think up, conflicting, disagreeing, opposite things, moving his or her lips, he or her brain, evil to pass. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 31. The hoary head, the grayish right hair, is a crown of glory, if it be found in the way of righteousness. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 31. Be you watchful of even the ones who does not have any gray hair yet today, but there are some whom may have grayish right hair today. The hoary head, but still can be just as dirty as one can be. Watch carefully yourself when around these ones. Colossians chapter 4, verse 2. And be watchful of the ones, even if you were to notice them now, to have any kinds of jaundice, bitterness, resentment, or envy, jealousy when you're around them too. Colossians chapter 4 verse 2, Philippians chapter 4 verse 13, and First Peter chapter 5 verse 7. Keep rightly praying in full accordance to First Timothy chapter 2 verse 1 through 4. So again, well, what are you afraid of today? If you are whom he sees now to be for and not against, that is Romans. Now, since the last upload, I went on ahead to look up something. Source was saying that they was funding Hamas, but now, according to one source, I see that Hamas has some places set up in Turkey to operate in, like as how Hamas has been operating in the Gaza Strip, it seems to me. And I understand now that Turkey is also part of NATO. So exactly how has they been helping Turkey? Has they been helping even Turkey in a way that are one to help just Turkey? Or two, has they been helping Turkey in a way that is was also benefiting Hamas? Which one? One or two? What's they doing? Also, now, according to another source, it seems that Hamas has been getting benefited by sham charities, false fake charities, that the monies from these sham charities wasn't really being used for what it was given for, but rather Hamas would use the monies to benefit their own self. Basically, Hamas are con artists. They'll give you a story to get the money and then use the money for whatever they want to use it for. Hamas are scammers, according to source. Quote from source. Hamas has exploited, taken advantage of the suffering in Gaza to solicit funds through sham and front charities that falsely claim to help civilians in Gaza. Hamas affiliates raise funds through sham or front charities and also the seek to garner public support for the group. As of early 2024, Hamas may have received as much as $10 million a month through such donations. Hamas considers Europe to be a key source of fundraising and has maintained representation across the continent for many years, in part to raise funds through sham charities. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness. Wow. Now, according to source, Turkey is a supporter of Hamas. Turkey is a supporter of Hamas? Oh my goodness. And sources also saying now that Italy raises or tries to raise funds for humanitarian purposes. Bless their hearts. But then Hamas will then use the money not in a way that Italy had raised the money for. Oh my. And but not just Italy, but also even Germany and Europe as well. Bless their hearts. But Hamas has not been using the monies as how they've been raising it for, according to source. Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. I ain't gonna say nothing. I ain't gonna say nothing. Oh my goodness. And Austria. And something about USA telling Hamas to do so is all coming up as well. People are raising monies to help others, bless their hearts. But Hamas has been being able to get to the monies of people's donations for humanitarian needs. So it may not be everyone's fault here, but it is Hamas' fault. But wait a minute. Just how has Hamas been being able to get access to the donation money so easily anyway? Well, according to source, the USA has been letting them do so. And who has had control of the room, especially for the last 4 years, eh? Oh, alright, I'm not liking this right here now. I, 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 I need this shit. I'm gonna zip my lip again. There seems to be some very suspicious peoples that source is looking into about this all, about Hamas right now. According to source, they are now evaluating things very carefully now because Hamas has been somehow, some way, been receiving sham charity monies that NATO members all may have been trying to raise money to help people for humanitarian needs. But Hamas has been scamming people and then using very high amount of people's donated money for things that are not considered to be humanitarian needs. Alrighty then. Alrighty then. And now about the USA. Who in the USA today had actually given access of monies to Hamas? And did the whosoever's even all surely know at the time exactly what they all were doing at the times more than once? I suspect when they all in the USA had done so. I don't know who. I can only think of one. Uh all right now, unto all of you members of NATO henceforth, know what you are raising the monies for, and then you all each individually better make sure that you do your very own background checks, each individually, to make sure that every penny coin of people's donated monies for humanitarian needs gets donated for the use of just only, solely humanitarian needs. Goodness. Mm-mm-mm. Because they got some snakes in this world today. And now even Hamas is one of them all too. Or whosoever that has been giving Hamas the access to the monies. That is, do you all understand me henceforth? But as for whosoever Democrats within the USA today, or those of you that are still in the USA today, apparently, have any of you all been giving your access to any sham charities for Hamas to become with access to do whatever that they wants to do? Have any whosoever Democrats been now funding Hamas in any whatsoever way unto this very day now, I suspect? Has anyone in the USA, period, been helping Hamas today?
You know what? You know what? I ain't gonna do it. Zip.
Because if you, any Democrats in the USA, or whosoever else today have been doing so, then A, Russia. What would Putin do right now if he had this kind of a problem within his country nation right now? A, Russia. You know what I'm saying about 2024, right?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Now I gotta be quiet. I'ma be quiet. Zip.
Matthew chapter 18, verse 20. For where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Luke chapter 1, verse 37. For with the Most High is one true God, Elohim, Adonai, Jehovah, 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 Jehovah. Nothing shall be impossible. First Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 17. Pray without ceasing. Pray without ceasing. Got a lot of reasons to do so now.
Alright, you can say that again. Zip. Let me quiet.
Well, I can see now why some would refer to Putin as being an autocrat. Because I now understand some things as of why he and some others may now look that way. There's a lot of details, everyone. Moving on now to something about Matthew chapter 17, verse 15, shall we? Matthew chapter 17, verse 15. Chief, have mercy on my son, for he is lunatic and painfully difficult, for oftentimes he fall into the fire and oft into the water, often into the water. He fall down. Now to say the word lunatic may be meaning to say that someone is mentally ill, but it wasn't being said for someone to be mentally ill by someone that is an expert or professional to rightly say lunatic. Thus is why for in one translation, the HCSB version, they see to say that the man's son is showing signs of someone that has seizures. Seizures.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But what if the one that has seen to call that the man's son in Matthew chapter 17, verse 15, was mentally ill? But is they saying now that since the person wasn't a professional to rightly declare in saying that someone is just mentally ill, is they now saying that we're not going to just say that the man's son was mentally ill, but rather we'll just go on ahead and just say that the man's son was having seizures?
Yeah, because they want someone professionally, and to say who got a seizure, that would mean somebody who qualified and diagnosed someone. They won't just take anybody's word for it. Sound like today to me. I'll be quiet.
So I'm just going to say this now. If to say seizures is not what the Most High is one true God Almighty El Shaddai Elohim Adonai Jehovah 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 says for it to be, but says that the man's son was just mentally ill, then if I find out that the man's son was just mentally ill, then him being just mentally ill is what it's just gonna be. That I'm gonna call it to just be as mentally ill. By the way, if it is still just only something in the mind that was going on with the man's son, then wouldn't it also still be able to be considered as a mentally ill kind of thing anyway? A seizure? Especially when you look at it all and just simply put to say it as being? And if so, then shouldn't that also make to say mentally ill to now be okay to still rightly say anyway, am I right or wrong? Think about it. Philippians chapter 4 verse 8.
Yeah, and when someone got seizure, there's something going on in your mind. Something in your mind ain't right. Sound like mental ill to me. Oh, I'ma zip my lip again.
By the way, there are still so many people that are even now and has been diagnosed as being one that is mentally ill for the day. Just look at who all that they is now saying that California is giving so much money to and see. So I can imagine why the HCSB version of the Bible sees who would prefer to just say the word seizures undercover here. It's because LOL, we would still be saying the word mentally ill anyway, though secretly undercover. Now, if everyone would now go and look at what the word seizure entirely means very carefully, use your reading comprehension skills that many who has now supposed to have graduated from high school should be able to do well for each themselves today. Or am I alleged here speaking today? Am I alleged here speaking today?
Yes, indeed. They talking about some stuff about the people with school in 2024. They talking about some stuff about school time in 2024. I don't know how the people comprehension may be doing right now. Oh, I'm gonna zip my lip.
If I am not alleged speaking, then you ought to still see that a seizure is still just an mentally ill kind of thing, still to this day, okay? Again, use your reading comprehension skills today, everyone, lest you were one that chose to either not remember or to forget about all that you had learned. One, graduated from high school, or two, had gotten your GED equivalent. Then whose fault is it for that but only you, right? Am I right? As of February 2025, according to source, there is no safe number of cigarettes to smoke per day, including Virginia Slims. Smoking any number of cigarettes increases the risk of developing cancer and other serious health problems. As of February, according to source, there is no recommended number of vapes per day because the amount of nicotine a person can tolerate varies based on factors like biology and lifestyle. The best advice is to self regulate and avoid overuse. Source is saying you're going to have to monitor your own self while vaping, even if you only would just prefer to vape for the white smoke without the nicotine added inside of the vape. That I do know many like vaping that way because it looks cool to them, seeing themselves doing that. Thus is why researchers, science, is still studying to see if vaping is completely safe for everyone to do or not. Though, according to source, They already seen now that vaping is not very good for anyone to do at all. Thus is why they're saying to pace yourself very carefully. Count your puffs that you take in, even from vaping, with or without the nicotine added to the vape, because according to source, they're now seeing that vaping is not very good for people to do, although because science studies what the people loves to do, because science studies what the culture loves to do. So therefore, science is just going to continue watching you all that still love to smoke or vape whatsoever. LOL. Science knows the ones that does not believe in evidence, John chapter 20 verse 29, are just going to continue watching you because people still enjoy doing it despite what they now already know. LOL. And so, because of what we, the people, the whosoever's that still enjoy smoking whatsoever or vaping, the cultures today, because of the cultures today, that is, so science, aka the ones who don't believe the evidence, may believes the evidence now for this one, but they are now going to just keep on studying you all until you all, the cultures, begin to realize something that they now know isn't good for you, isn't good for you. Science is now waiting for you all, we, the people, the culture, the whosoever's that still enjoy smoking or vaping whatsoever, the cultures today, that is, not me, to realize what they now know when it comes to this smoking whatsoever and vaping thing now, that is, as you ought to see now, there are some things that I must ask science a question about, but as for now, I can rightly see, but there are also things that I can agree with science on about for the day, right? First Timothy chapter 6 verse 20 through 21. So basically here, if you still wants to vape with using the nicotine or without the nicotine, then check with your doctor nurse so that they can carefully examine you to determine what is the best amount per day of the nicotine that you personally can vape per day. Don't just go by what people may say about how much of the nicotine that they do when whosoever else vape howsoever which way. But you better go make sure to go ask your own good, registered, qualified, certified, verified, well approved, graduated from college doctor nurse for them to determine what is best amount per day for you personally to do. For you personally. Okay? Don't you be going by what any others say, what and how that they do for their own self. Understand me?
Coming in loud and clear to me. You're coming in loud and clear to me. Yeah, I hear you. Mm.
According to source, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act seems to now has been passed now. Is it? It seems so. It seems so. Quote from source: The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act is a bold, comprehensive approach to hold police accountable, change the culture of law enforcement, empower our communities, and build trust between law enforcement and our communities by addressing systemic racism and bias to help save lives. This legislation makes it easier for the federal government to successfully prosecute police misconduct cases, ends racial and religious profiling, and eliminates qualified immunity for law enforcement. The legislation bans the use of chokeholds and no-knock warrants, which took the lives of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and Eric Garner at the federal level, and encourages states to do the same. This package will finally allow meaningful accountability responsibility in cases of police brutality.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, yeah. All right. All right. They paying attention to that part right there.
Yeah, and so now, why does some Democrats now wants to be encouraging for people that are protesting to say that if any officials come to try to stop you all from protesting, to just begin all of you all together as a crowd all at one time begin to push back onto those officials if they try to stop you from protesting, if they try to stop you from protesting. Have some Democrats today gone crazy or something? Now, if people were mad enough to want to sue for what they had did unto George Floyd, then what makes these particulars supposed to be more responsible and wiser than what they're saying for others to do? To think that, oh, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act will protect us now. But, but, can it stop you from also getting a lawsuit if anyone comes at the officials and the officials can't do anything? So if you all hurt now the officials, what makes you all think that the police cannot now be able, by their own citizen rights, be able to now sue any of you all that has now pushed back onto them? If any of you all hurt any one of them officials that are there just doing their job? Yes, I believe now that there are some very foolish Democrats in the USA today, whosoever that will listen to them ones. Even some Democrats are not rightly thinking things all the way through anymore before they would choose for their own self how to react nowadays at all, apparently. And again, I'm talking about for in the USA today because I don't know much about what the Democrats are doing anyplace else. Yes, there are also Democrats in other countries, nations today too. For anyone that did not already know that before now,
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
as of February 2025. According to source, yes, a police officer can sue a person for pushing them away in the USA, as pushing someone can be considered assault or battery depending on the circumstances and jurisdiction, even if the person pushing is not a police officer. However, the officer would need to prove that the push was unreasonable and not justified by the situation to have a successful lawsuit.
Eh, eh, do they really know what they're doing? Oh, let me be quiet. They don't know what they're doing.
And didn't Democrats in the USA help to make sure that many of the police officers all have their body cameras on? These peoples nowadays better not get any violent while out there doing any kinds of demonstrating, protesting whatsoever henceforth, regardless of who tells them to do different than of what I'm saying unto you all right now today. Get some sense, all you peoples, because some are now making me to think that have you all now done lost it or not?
Yeah. I'm be quiet. I'ma be quiet.
Now, according to another source, the sword in the stone from Disney, an old Disney cartoon movie, which tells the story of young Arthur Pendragon, also called Wart, who is the only one able to pull the magical sword from the stone, thus proving himself to be the rightful king of England, despite being a seemingly ordinary boy from a humble background. With the help of the wizard Merlin, he is prepared for his destiny. You know what? That little boy in that cartoon movie reminds me of David in in that sword being removed from the stone moment of the movie segment, because young David was the only one that was able to defeat Goliath. And then later, and then later, David was the only one that was able to move, the ark of God. The Most High is one true God, Jehovah. Someone else had tried moving it for David, but something straightway had happened. That person had all of a sudden died instantly. David was the only one that could touch and move the ark of the Most Highest one true God, Jehovah, safely, safely into his house for a little while, and then to move it again, to take it to where the Most High is one true God, Jehovah, Elohim, Adonai himself, had told David to take it unto. Only David could touch and move it, just like in that movie with the little boy.
Yeah, that's the whatever the boy name is. Oh yeah, a sword and stone, the sword and stone, something like that. Oh, let me quiet.
Define wizard, a man who has magical powers, especially in legends and fairy tales. A person who is very skilled in a particular field or activity. In computing, it means a help feature of a software package that automates complex tasks by asking the user a series of easy to answer questions. Seems to be nowadays as how they are doing with AI. They trying to work on it.
Oh yeah, they sure is trying to work on it. Oh, I need to be quiet. I need to be quiet now.
Define wizard, wonderful, excellent, excellent. Well, I can definitely go and ask questions unto my Messiahs, and at any time freely too. Psalm chapter 91 verse 1, 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 7, and James chapter 1 verse 5 through 8. What the Most Highest, one true God, Elohim, Adonai, Jehovah, 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 tells or puts in you to do, then it may be something that only you can do. And so when you do it for Him and His glory only, then unto others it could be seen as something magical, like a wizard, like a wizard. But in your mind and heart, your soul, your spirit, the whole entire time, all you see to say is, I ain't a magician. I ain't a wizard. I ain't excellent. I don't know how this had happened like that. But I see it didn't happen now. I ain't one who does any kinds of witchcraft whatsoever. I don't know how this had happened. This wasn't me. This was all the works of Him Most High is above me. Because I as yet is only still learning. He's excellent. And I don't worship or pray unto any evils to get any kind of blessings. Not any kind whatsoever from any evils. He's just so excellent like that. Even through the Son of Man, my Jesus, Joshua, which is why, like that movie, The Sword in a Stone, some may still see my Messiah as being some kind of a great wizard or something today. But he's so much more bigger than just any kinds and or forms of any of that stuff, even to this day and henceforth. My Messiah is still excellent, excellent, even to this day. My Messiah is still excellent, even to this day.
Amen. Amen. You say that again. He is excellent. He is excellent. I'm be quiet.
Adonai, how excellent, how excellent, how excellent, how excellent is thy name. There is none like you, none like you, none like you. Son of Man, excellent is thy name in all the earth, in all the earth, in all the earth, in all the earth. Son of Man, excellent is thy name in all the earth, in all the earth, in all the earth, in all the earth, Son of Man, excellent is thy name in all the earth, in all the earth, in all the earth, in all the earth, Son of Man, excellent is thy name. Every knee shall bow, and every tongue confess that he is chief, Son of Man, excellent is thy name.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You gotta say the word. You forgot to say the word. Go and say the word. Are you having? Oh yeah, say the word now.
Peace.
All right. All right, go on. Put the music on to the end and everything. Yeah.